is the Lounge 254. Nathan Stacken not here. Marcus Traxler, Charlie Hildebrand are here. We got it. We got it. There we go.
Hello, brother. I'm here.
There we go. 4th of July. Apparently, are folks celebrating the 4th this weekend more than next weekend? Is that what you gather?
It's big. Folk? It's big. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend, and that was surprising, more than I expected. At least in the central South Dakota Mitchell area, I put together the list of events going on, and yeah, a lot of it today, tomorrow, into Wednesday.
And it would seem on Wednesday, Thursday. It's on Wednesday this year, so you get Wednesday off. Then you could think, well, you know, Friday is the 6th. You maybe go 6, 7. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot going on next weekend?
And not, from what I could tell, not 4th of July related. So a lot of places using the 4th of July to cap their celebrations.
What a deal.
In terms of events in Northwest Iowa and Southeast South Dakota, I don't know. But I can say the past couple of nights driving home from work, you know, getting home at, you know, between 11 and midnight, there were many a fireworks going off that, you know, easier to tell when it's dark outside than when, you know, people are like, hey, let's shoot off these huge fireworks at 4 in the afternoon where you can't tell.
You know, you can't shoot fireworks off in certain places, but it doesn't seem like that's ever enforced.
You got to catch them in the act. That's very difficult.
Oh, fuck. You gotta get
I know a few years ago, one of the guys who's a reporter at the newspaper I work for, hashtag get a paper for the Sioux City Journal, but he did a story. I think he did like a ride along with the police on 4th of July weekend. And it's just basically like it's not like they're devoting all their resources to that, but some of the patrol cars are just like, oh, well, we saw this in the sky. And it kind of looks like maybe there's a smoke trail there. So let's just drive to roughly where that is. And then if they see people setting off fireworks when they go to roughly where that is, then they're like, okay. There was something where like they gave one guy some deal where they're like, okay, just throw your rest of your fireworks, you know, in this garbage can here, and then we'll leave you alone. And the guy was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then had to pay a fine or something like that.
Part of it,
but I guess that's how they do it.
Part of it is that people call and complain about fireworks on the 4th of July too. I know, because I've been in the office on the 4th, and you hear people complaining, and you're like, well, in Mitchell, you're not supposed to shoot off fireworks at all. This year they're allowing them, I think, on the 3rd and the 4th, but only by the lake. And that's the first year they're doing that. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think it'll decrease the number of fireworks being shot off in the city or the number of complaints, but it's worth a try.
Stacken on the Stacken Show the other day said that 4th of July has become really big to him because his wife's family goes to the lake every year or whatever the hell they do. So I don't know if that's where he's at now or what the hell's going on. So it's become bigger for him because of that. Where's the 4th rank here for you, and any good 4th of July stories of your?
It was always big for me growing up as a kid. We'd go to a small town, Elysian, Minnesota, where my grandpa is in the color guard, and so he'd always march in the parade. We'd always go to that, and we'd go to the parade, and then we had a cabin that was basically between the two towns, my hometown and Elysian, so we'd go there for a while, and we'd always go for fireworks, usually to Mankato because they had the biggest fireworks show. But obviously, as I grew up, we've done less of that. We'd go to Twins games a lot on the 4th of July. We'd go to Canterbury Park sometimes on the 4th of July or the 3rd of July. That'd be fun. So anything that involves sports and gambling and fireworks is good for me. So, and this year, for what it's worth, not to interrupt, but since I moved out here, I always like going and finding a baseball game now. So that's usually what I try to do around the 4th.
I know for me, you know, growing up in most of my life, growing up in South Dakota, where it was very do as much as you want with fireworks. We don't care. I don't know if it was ever my favorite holiday, like in terms of being number one, but it was really high from when, let's see, we moved to South Dakota when I was 7. So from 7 till about, I don't know, 14 or 15, it was like number 2 or 3 for me because I just loved like lighting stuff and then having it explode. And yeah, like I don't know. I think like I think a lot of kids, you know, especially boys, maybe there's like sort of a little tiny bit of like a destructive streak, and just like, yep, set this off, and then it blew up, and you know, let's put this firecracker in this old cup that mom threw in the garbage can, and just see if the cup blows up and stuff like that. And then I remember, I think the last time I bought fireworks, and when I say bought, I mean spent more than like $6 one year on fireworks. It was the summer between high school and my first year of college. I was working and like was not making fantastic money, but was working a job for the first time in a few years. So I had extra pocket change. And I went to a fireworks place where a kid who was a couple years older than me and played football and basketball with me in high school gave me like a deal. So I got all this stuff that I bought for cheaper than it was anyways. And I still spent like $130 on fireworks or something like that. And then I just remember, you know, at 18, they'd blow up, and I was just like, man, this is not as much fun as when I was 10, especially when you're paying for all of it out of your own pocket, and it's just gone after, you know, 8 seconds. So it's not like I hate fireworks now, but I don't spend money on fireworks anymore. I got that out of my system for, you know, the first decade we lived in South Dakota.
And to me, it's worth pointing out that I obviously grew up in Minnesota, and for, I'd say, the first 13 years of my life, fireworks were basically banned in Minnesota. And so you would either have to come to South Dakota, or Wisconsin was the other big state that had them. And I remember that I had like some relatives that would be at the lake, and they would just have this big crate of fireworks, and they'd spend money on it every year, and they'd shoot them off, and they'd let me shoot them off and stuff. But yeah, to me, it never mattered that we didn't go buy fireworks and shoot them off, because I just never cared that much. And so I certainly enjoy watching them now, and I always will. But yeah, when Minnesota had pretty tight rules on fireworks, that kind of slows everybody's roll a little bit. So
yeah, I know two big things for celebrations are fireworks and parades. I will take fireworks over a parade any day of the week. Parades don't do much for me.
Would the Stackin family go across the border to purchase fireworks?
He can't hear you, apparently.
Stackin, can you hear us?
Hello?
Stackin, dead.
Hello?
You can wave at us. We're talking.
Down. The noise, the volume, the things. Microphone difficulties. Sure.
Thank you.
We're there. NBA free agency started 12 hours ago, and since then, some folks have signed.
Doug McDermott got a nice deal, and that's the biggest story of free agency.
That on the front page of every paper in Nebraska tomorrow. Big news there. Chris Paul's back with Houston. Paul George back with Oklahoma City. Derrick Rose back with Minnesota. Any move surprising? Maybe people think that Paul George staying with Oklahoma City is the big surprise. Would you concur?
It seems like the way everybody's going is, unless you're going to get Chris Paul type money, which is literally $40 million a year to stay with the Rockets. It seems like the idea is, sign 1-year deals, 2-year deals, get the maximum for a short amount of time, then sign again, then sign again, then sign again. And so Paul George, Paul George doing 3 years, and then an additional, I think, a player option. That's surprising, especially at Oklahoma City. I realize then it's him and Westbrook. They're committed now for a while, but that was surprising considering how much we've heard about how he wanted to go to LA and the Lakers and stuff, and this seemed to be lining up for it. And then the Lakers don't even really even get an offer out.
Stackin? Hello?
Stackin, dead.
Like, we can hear you punching the fucking numbers here.
There.
We can
get. Just tell him to leave and come back. See if that works.
Yep.
We can hear Stackin. Type.
Get out.
Leave and come back. Yeah. Weird. Charlie, I mean, the Lakers, I guess LeBron is going to the Lakers, I suppose, I guess. I don't know. Either them and Cleveland, it sounds like. Maybe Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. As of like 5 days ago, I still didn't think he was going to go to the Lakers, but the signs keep kind of pointing more and more that way. Like, I think it's safe to assume, obviously, like there must be someone else that's going to be going there. It would seem like Kawhi Leonard, maybe, because I don't know why, if you're LeBron, you would leave Cleveland because you want to win a title to go somewhere where they're basically like, I don't know. Like, for all the jokes about how the Cavaliers had the worst talent in the league, they did still have Kevin Love. I don't think anyone currently for the Lakers is as good as Kevin Love, so there must be someone else that they're bringing in. Otherwise, there wouldn't seem to be any reason to go. And I don't know. If LeBron ends up signing with the Lakers, I'm intrigued to see how long it takes them to deal Lonzo and be like, guess what, LeVar? You got to hang out in Milwaukee now.
Second, Paul George, who's back with Oklahoma City. We're waiting for LeBron to make a decision. Meeting with teams by not actually meeting with teams. So that's an interesting strategy of doing that.
Bold move, Cotton. If it pans out.
Not a whole lot of. I mean, really, it's LeBron and DeMarcus Cousins, and waiting on Kawhi Leonard to get traded somewhere. Besides that, this is not a bunch here.
No, this seems to be a very you have the star power, and then there appears to be not a lot of other marquee names in this pool. So once the LeBron domino drops, once the DeMarcus Cousins domino drops, and we'll see what happens with Kawhi, that should pretty much put a wrap on NBA free agency in terms of what we really care about.
Kawhi and LeBron to Philadelphia seem to be the best situation for him, all involved. That would seem to make the most sense. That would seem to make the most sense. But who knows? Again, Marcus, your thoughts on LeBron to the Lakers? And I just don't understand it at all.
It only makes sense in the
like the off the court stuff that just doesn't resonate with me at all.
We're aware.
Like the movie stuff or all this other post-basketball stuff. He lives in LA anyway. He's got a place there. You are busy during the season. You are gone half of the time anyway, so I don't know what business you could be doing there during the season. So I just don't understand going to LA because you want to be in movies and all of your extra shit you want to do. You can do that from anywhere. It's like everybody says, oh, New York. New York doesn't matter. You don't have to be in New York to be in commercials or whatever. Nobody's in New York and everybody's fine.
I mean, Kyrie Irving just put out the Uncle Drew movie, and he played almost his entire career to this point in Cleveland. So don't tell me that you have to be. To me, I agree with what you're saying. To me, it's just one of those things where I don't think you're going to be able to convince LeBron. To me, it's either like if he's going to the Lakers, he's waving the white flag on being competitive this season at least. And I would say maybe in the future. Now that Paul George isn't going there, that's a problem because now they have to get Kawhi, I think. Why the hell would you go there if you're going to be the only good player? And I realize, they've got a couple other pieces, but I
Kuzma.
Stacking, can you switch to your computer again? Does that work?
Try to use some headphones or something there, Chief.
Yeah, let's see. I'll try and see if I can get a pair of headphones here. I don't have the ice cap microphone, so that's why.
Ice. Detain Stacking.
I mean, it's not personal stacking. I like you, but it's almost like you're shooting a hostage right now.
I might be. Okay, I'll see what I can scrap up.
And then he throws it away.
You're going dark. So we got that.
To me, it just makes the most sense for LeBron to stay in Cleveland and try to put it together with him and Kevin Love and whatever else they can figure out. So.
Something I've also never understood, Charlie. They've never brought anybody to Cleveland. They've never brought anybody. Kevin Love, I guess, who could play. But that was a trade for Andrew Wiggins, the number 1 pick. I mean, he went to Cleveland the second time because they had Kyrie Irving, a number 1 pick. They had Andrew Wiggins, a number 1 pick that they turned into Kevin Love. Like, I don't have they even tried to bring somebody into Cleveland. Try to bring in, you know, somebody.
Kyle Korver.
Fuck. I mean, do you find that interesting that they've never tried? God damn, it's getting worse. It's getting worse.
It's interesting because I mean I don't know. You would think that being able to play. Oh jeez.
You won't even put it on mute. Mute. Okay. Like Chris Bosh. Why could Chris Bosh not have gone to Cleveland? Why could Wade and Bosh have not gone to Cleveland? I can't even mute this motherfucker here. Jesus Christ.
Get on a computer.
I just gotta. I can't. Okay. There we go. Okay. Like why does he have to? Why can't they come to him?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was gonna say. Is that I mean, like playing with LeBron would have to be an incredibly large selling point, unless you just do like your role is to do exactly what he does, so you wouldn't fit. I mean, you would think like, oh, go to a team that's probably going to sleepwalk to the Eastern Conference Finals, and unless they stub their toe 12 times, are going to play in the NBA Finals each year. I mean, it would seem like a situation where it would be easy to attract guys. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it before. You mentioned it earlier. For whatever reason, you know, some people think large cities are bad, and some people think certain large cities are better. So I don't know if maybe nobody wants to play in Cleveland, but you would think having, you know, at worst, maybe the second or third best player in the history of the NBA to be like, oh yeah, this guy will be your teammate for 5 years and you'll probably win 1 or 2 titles would be a pretty big selling point. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you think
and I don't know if it's the ownership or if it's, you know, LeBron trying to be the GM as well as the players that mess thing. I don't know. It's strange.
Do you think he has his mind made up?
I think he's had his mind made up for a while. Yeah. I don't, or let me rephrase it this way. I don't think he's like a girl sitting by the phone waiting and trying to decide between 2 prom dates and like at the last minute and weighing the pros and cons. I think he knows exactly what he's going to do.
I think the answer will tell us how long he's known. If it's the Lakers, I think it's been, you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years in the making. If it's Cleveland, I think it's because he looks at the Lakers and just figures, yeah, I'll sign another 1-year contract and maybe we'll try it again next year. I don't think he's obviously not going to commit to Cleveland long term. And so he may just decide, hey, 1 more year in his home city. It's weird that he's, you know, in my opinion, still the best player in the league, and he doesn't have any more options other than 2 or 3 teams. But when you command the type of money he commands, and there's only so many teams that are going to be worth a damn, and he's not even considering, you know, he's considering the Lakers, who may not be that good. It just doesn't add up to me.
What if we've been talking Los Angeles the whole time and he's actually going to the Clippers instead of the Lakers?
Oh!
That would be terrible.
It would suck. Stacken's been big on the Clippers, and I tell him, Stacken, you're out of your goddamn mind. With that. But,
if it was the Clippers like 4 years ago, I think you could maybe say something then, but not now, where Chris Paul and Blake Griffin are both gone now. Like, I don't even – and DeAndre Jordan's apparently signing with the Mavericks. I honestly don't know if I could name a single Clippers player right now.
Lou Williams.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverly.
Much better. There we go.
There we go.
Much better.
Smooth as silk right now, Stacken.
Ooh. It's like it was a big improvement. It was Cavs before LeBron, Cavs after LeBron. That big of a Do you think we are 15 years from LeBron getting drafted? Cleveland won 1 title. Do you think that was a disappointment? If you tell them back in 2003, you're going to win 1. Not 2, you're going to win 1. Or they've said yes, or they've said, what happened to where we only won once?
I think they would ask the question initially, but then if you would give them the whole landscape of the NBA and that, oh, here's Golden State creating this mega team, and you have all the good teams out in the West that Cleveland they can take care of business in the East, but I mean, you can't get past the likes of the Golden State Warriors or the San Antonio Spurs. Then I think they would understand a little bit more, but they should be at least happy with one. Those ungrateful bitches.
What about the fact that, to me, Cleveland didn't get enough done the first time he was there?
That's fair.
They just didn't do a very good job of putting players around him. That first team that LeBron took to the finals,
they had Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
He's a franchise player in the fact that he played for them for a long time, but was not great. So, yeah, that's a major knock because, granted, we haven't really had the whole super team idea for very long since LeBron started it with Miami for the most part, or I guess Boston with their big three. But to me, that's my critique that Cleveland should have done more the first time around.
So you wouldn't blame LeBron. You would blame the Cavs front office in general.
Well, LeBron could have helped. You could make the argument that LeBron should have stayed there longer, but he won the title. He won 2 titles in Miami. I think he did what he wanted to do when he left.
Would they have won those in Cleveland if he stays there? And
they had to put somebody else around him. I mean, if they could have committed
Bosh. Whoever.
If they would have committed that Bosh and Wade would have been in Cleveland, maybe, yeah. But it seems like Dwayne Wade wasn't ready to leave Miami at that stage.
They had Shaq at the peak or the pinnacle of his.
Everybody had Shaq. Everybody had Shaq.
Statue, do you forget that Shaq played for the Cavaliers and that was peak Shaq? Just kidding, that wasn't peak Shaq.
Peak Shaq at his 40s.
I know, in terms of Krenz's original question, I would imagine if you told most Cleveland sports fans the situation the night he got drafted, because at that point in time, it had been, 40 years since Cleveland had won a title in any sport, at least the major sports. I don't think they would necessarily be, ecstatic to just win one, but I think they would be like, yeah, we'll take one.
Or tell them 8 years ago on the night of the decision, hey, he's going to actually come back and win a title for you. So maybe calm down here with the jersey burning and calling him a traitor. So
it would have been interesting to see people turn themselves in knots and twist in the wind that night of being like, what if he comes back and wins you a title? And be like, well, wait,
Is Golden State what people thought Miami was going to be?
Except theirs is more organic, so
sure.
Yeah.
Warriors got lucky. I mean, that's just and then I think they'd have to be the first to admit that. I mean, I don't. To draft those players and hit on them, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, I think you could make a little bit easier of an argument for. And then they convinced Durant to be there. I think Steve Kerr in this whole situation doesn't get enough credit for being a pretty good coach. And so, I mean, you need some luck to be able to piece it all together, and it's worked out for him. I'm not trying to knock what they've done. I'm just pointing that out. So
something happened between when Mark Jackson was the coach and they were a 50-win team and they lost in Game 7 to the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs, to Steve Kerr taking over, and they immediately, with the same roster, basically becoming a 70-win team and getting to the finals every year. I don't know what it was.
And have won 3 of the last 4 titles.
Yeah. Steph Curry got much better. He went from an all-star to an MVP, and that was a big jump there. So that's one aspect. And we've seen teams like Oklahoma City shit the bed, trade James Harden. They had 3 MVPs at one time, and they decided that wasn't going to work. So they decided to trade Harden, and it has not worked since. So it's interesting.
Kind of like when the Vikings traded for Herschel Walker and gave the Cowboys essentially their team for their Super Bowl runs in the 90s. I think the Cowboys should be the Cowboys should be offering the Vikings at least a half a Super Bowl because of that trade. So the Warriors, I think, should give the Timberwolves a third of an NBA title because
not
of
interested.
them passing up Steph Curry not once but twice. I think that's a very fair trade and fair assessment.
I would compare Golden State right now to kind of what Alabama football has become under Nick Saban, where they're not like truly unbeatable and unstoppable, but if you don't capitalize on any tiny mistake they make, they will make you pay for it. Much like, game 1 of the NBA Finals this year. And I don't remember there was game 3, I think, that went down to the wire too, where it's like you get chances, but if you don't capitalize, like you're not going to get, there's very few chances you get. And if you don't take your opportunities, they're just going to roll you then because they make so few errors and are just so good in the first place that you have to, like, I don't know if you have to play your A+ game to beat them, but you have to play your A game definitely.
You have
and
to
even then it still might not be enough.
You have to hope they don't play very well that day, and you do.
What?
Yeah, and if they bring their A game, like, you're just probably screwed then. There's nothing you can do.
Maybe you talked about this already, but what do you think the Cavs would have to do to give up, or what would they have to give up in order to land Kawhi?
Probably Kevin Love and three
I-
other players, probably. I don't know.
Colin Sexton?
Colin Sexton, they got a draft pick next year.
That's a goner.
Well, bringing up things that Stacken brought up, what if they trade half of their NBA title from 2 or 3 years ago?
Dumb.
No, not great. They can get it on the weekends, maybe.
Split custody.
Custody. If LeBron doesn't go to Cleveland, then where does Kevin Love go?
Well, Kevin Love's staying in Cleveland, isn't he?
Kevin Love's
That's what they want.
He's chained to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, if LeBron's not going to be there, I would expect Kevin Love to make a phone call and said, "Could you do me something? Could you get me out of this goddamn town, please?"
We're trading you to Phoenix or Denver.
Sure. Or
maybe LeBron's bringing Kevin Love with him to LA, and they're going to be like, well, LeBron, you're going to be the point guard, and you're just going to have good big guys to work with. We're going to do this differently than you've done it in the past.
Or if Kevin Love can stay healthy, can he turn into Minnesota Kevin Love that averaged 26 points and 13 rebounds?
I feel like that's gone. That's gone.
Because
we've got star
injuries or what?
Oh, this is star Kevin Love we're talking about. He's not interested in rebounding anymore. It's only 3-pointers and being a thin bastard.
Didn't the Cavs also try and push him to a different? Like they were asking him to do different things than they were in Minnesota, right?
That they were stacking that
Outside more than inside. I would like to see him by himself again on a okay team that can make the playoffs.
The Milwaukee Bucks?
Yeah, sure. And I've been a proponent of trading Wiggins back to Cleveland for Kevin Love. So that's what I've been.
I'm fine with that. Kevin Love, trade him to the Pelicans so that they got Cousins, Anthony Davis, and Kevin Love. 3 bigs.
Make Anthony Davis run the point.
I like it.
I think it's Cousins and LeBron to the Lakers is how it goes. I think that's your 2 there, and we'll see what happens with the rest. So,
not to like completely psychoanalyze everything, but if you're LeBron, and look, DeMarcus Cousins is incredibly talented, but do you want to be like, hey, this is the other guy that I'm going to have like share carrying the load? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would trust Cousins.
This has got to be this. It's got to happen in 3s, right? So somehow they get Kawhi in there too. Now we're talking.
I just don't see how with Paul George re-signing now with Oklahoma City. I mean, Kawhi's not going to, barring an absolutely stellar deal, I don't see the Spurs trading Kawhi to LA. So you're going to land, if LeBron goes there, you're landing LeBron and no one else.
Maybe Cousins. Maybe I think Cousins is going to go.
What?
Maybe. But if
this has been, or sorry, finish stacking.
I was just going to say, if the Lakers are going to be like, okay, well, we'll get Kawhi next offseason. Well, that's what they thought about Paul George last year. And there's a good chance either if Kawhi gets traded to, say, Boston, or if he just stays in San Antonio and they repair the relationship, there's a chance that the Lakers won't get him. And then LeBron's gonna be like, well, what the hell am I here for? To do it all by myself again.
What if LeBron is trying to fill a teenage fantasy of a promise/deal he made with a then friend, and it's going to be LeBron and Carmelo tearing it up for the Lakers
for no less than $35 million a year either for Carmelo, because he is not paying, not going to take a pay cut.
Well, they're going to find a way that he's going to get paid less, but he's also going to be in 2 feature films and have spot roles in 2 TV shows in LA, and that's going to make up the difference. And all he has to do is show up. He's just got to show up and say his catchphrase, be like, "It's Mellow time, baby," and then he gets paid.
Where's Jim?
He's already collecting $28 million this year from the Thunder, so why not double dip and really cash in?
Does Jim Boeheim get any of this action here?
No.
I hope so.
3% off the bottom, not off the top, off the bottom.
Good. Well, the Nuggets want to meet with LeBron. That'd be interesting. The Nuggets, they want to meet with LeBron. So good.
Oh man, Amin could be the LeBron expert. He can take Brian Windhorst's spot.
Oh my God. And this luxury tax at the Thunder, was it $130 million they have to pay just in taxes?
Beautiful.
It's almost as much as their payroll's $150, so they got to pay almost double. That is not good to be a 5 seed. That seems, if you're Golden State, go ahead and spend $130 million on luxury taxes if you're winning a title. If Oklahoma City, maybe things will turn around next year, but they weren't all that good last year.
You know, I think for Amin, if LeBron goes to the Nuggets, he needs some good news right now. His twins suck. Jameis Winston is suspended for 3 games and maybe banned forever. So he could use a little good fortune up there in the Rockies.
No, he went to brunch yesterday. So.
Oh, okay.
The World Cup's going on.
Granted, got a great brunch, Sunday brunch.
There's porter potties flying around the Denver area. That could be a deadly situation. You don't like that.
It's a shitty situation, Chris. A shitty situation.
Very, very well could be.
Boo.
What do we got here at quarter?
They might say you're in trouble, and if you'll go to Denver.
What do we got here?
Well, it's official now, Stack, and you are a dad, because that's the top dad joke I've heard in a while. What
are we drinking here at 1:45 on a Sunday?
Summer Shandy.
All right, there we go. Summer it is. Do we all agree the Vikings?
Summer Shandy.
I got some in my fridge, but I got to go to work after this, so I probably shouldn't get too liquored up.
Too tuned.
Do we all agree the Vikings are the best franchise to not win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm running through a couple teams in my head. Clearly they're better than the Lions are. They're better than the Jaguars or the Panthers. Yeah.
Are they the best team ever? Is there any other franchise out there that has not won a title that is better than the Vikings?
Nope.
The mid-90s Seattle Mariners when they were really good. But that's just one blip in time, not the franchise as a whole. So, yeah. Yeah, I would say probably – I mean, unless there's someone we're all blanking on, it probably is the Vikings.
You know, you look at the bad franchises, Marcus, the Clippers.
If you said because Seattle never won a title as the Supersonics, right?
No. Well, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
In the 70s or something?
Yep.
Okay, so they don't count. I was going to say that between the Thunder and the Sonics.
And even if they did, then I'd still take the Vikings. Yeah. Vikings have had at least 2 teams that should have won. One in our lifetime and one back in the day. At least 2 teams where they were the best team in the league at that time. And the Browns and the Clippers are terrible franchises. Vikings have made –
back in the early days, like the 60s. They haven't been good since the 60s and the 80s. But they had the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when Jim Brown was running, and, of course, you had, you know, the drive.
Well, when Jim Brown was there, that was before they had won Super Bowls. Like, they won NFL titles. But
right. You're just saying post-Super Bowl era.
Like the worst run franchises, the Browns and all those teams. And the Vikings have made good decisions. They've signed everybody up here for the most part. So we'll see how good they are the next couple of years.
Resign Bar and Diggs. Resign Bar and Diggs.
Working on that. Are they the worst? Not let's say worst run franchise, but because they make all the right moves. They sign the guys. They do good, but they can't win.
And then your
lucky
quarterback damn near has his leg cut off when he gets hurt in practice. That's
like
I don't know who you attribute that to, but that's the thing.
Like just bad luck. How do you literally not have a quarterback for like 40 years? You don't have a guy.
Hey, Fran
Dante.
Tarkenton.
Since Fran Tarkenton,
Wade Wilson.
Fucking Wade Wilson. 1970.
Sean Salisbury.
Salisbury's sake. You got Culpepper. What happened? His knee explodes.
Tavares Jackson.
Man, we're taking guys from goddamn Alabama S&M here in the second round.
If you go by the alleged quote that Tavares Jackson's wife said when she pulled a gun on him, they would have been better off playing Tavares Jackson's wife because she has more stones than he does.
Wow.
I don't know if this is true. I saw it somewhere. This was like a week or two ago. And I don't remember the source, so it may have been a joke in the first place. But that, he was threatening her with a gun, and she was like, "Well, you better be more accurate with that than you are on the field," or something like that.
Cold Stone Killer.
I don't remember where it was that I saw that, so take it with.
Is that Super Bowl winning backup quarterback Tavares Jackson you're talking about here?
That's the one and the same.
Hey, it could have been worse. Could have been a Steve McNair situation.
That's
R.I.P. R.I.P. That'll do it for the Loud folks.
Too soon.
254. We'll wrap it up here with Steve McNair death talk.
It is the 4th of July, so you have to talk about him.
Sure. Did he die on the 4th of July?
It did. It was on the 4th of July.
Well, good for him. So I don't know.
So ask the Steve McNair family what their favorite 4th of July memories are and see what you get.
Had some nice ham sandwiches at the funeral. Tastefully done. So I don't know what you want to call the Vikings. Like, it's just bad.
Snake bitten.
Snake bitten is what it is. I would like, wherever LeBron goes, I don't give a shit. But I would like to see Kawhi Leonard go to Philadelphia. So you got what Philadelphia has. I'd like to see Boston get healthy. And for the first time, really ever, the East would be interesting between Boston and Philadelphia for the first time probably since the early 80s. The East would actually be interesting. Or maybe the Pistons-Boston era, late 80s. You would have two teams that you would actually look forward to playing and say, Philadelphia-Boston. That'd be very good. And if Boston is healthy,
discredit the Raptors.
Fuck them.
How dare you discredit the post-Jordan Bulls Pacers-Knicks series?
Those were some thrillers. Yes. I think Boston could give Golden State a series if they're healthy. Does anybody see that? With it being Golden State, they've won 3 out of 4. It's going to end at some point. Stacken says no. I would say the 1 year Golden State lost, Kyrie Irving was very good. He averaged 27 points a game in the finals, made the big shot because nobody else is going to take the big shot, obviously. He made the big shot, and I like to see a healthy Kyrie Irving with that bunch go up against Golden State. Stacken, you say no.
No, I say no because Boston still went to have the best player. The Cleveland had the best player that year in the league, LeBron James.
Sure.
So they get someone like LeBron James. I could see them maybe pushing it 6 games, but I don't see them winning it at least not yet. Golden State just is still way too good, and Boston to me is still a little too young. I just don't see them doing it.
I think Boston would need one more piece, and it would not need to be like LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard, but someone of maybe like Chris Bosh with the Heat, maybe not quite even to that level, but one more piece where you're like, okay, now they got another guy. Then I think Boston could.
Kevin Love. There we go.
We're talking
That might
about
do it.
who we're talking about. Kawhi on the Celtics too, or
no? Kawhi on Philadelphia. So we have Boston and Philadelphia. That'd be a pretty good series. Series this year was pretty good. Had some close games. even though it was, a 5-game series.
Mhm.
And I think Boston, if Hayward is there and if Kyrie Irving is there with all the other pieces they have, I think Boston could have a competitive series with Golden State.
I think that I'm going to put myself out there, folks. I'm going to say that Boston and Golden State, they play for the next 2 titles, and they split those. I think Durant is going to have – the Warriors will have 4 titles in 6 years, and Durant's contract will be up, and I could see him maybe going and doing something else after that. So we'll see. We'll see how this shakes out. But that's kind of my very high view of it. See where that goes. I can't foresee the Warriors being able to keep it together much past another year or two, just because it's going to get tough to pay everybody.
Yeah, and at some point, someone will just be selfish too, and I'll just be like, "Well, I want to go do this somewhere else where it's different scenery or whatever."
Yep,
it sounds
or
like
just
Draymond
get paid
Green.
more money. Yeah. Well, I think maybe more than Draymond. I think if they could keep everyone else and just lose Draymond, I think they'd
Maybe fine.
be okay.
Maybe fine.
But
They can bring in
Well,
some other guy.
That's what I thought about Klay Thompson, but now it sounded like he wanted to stay because he enjoys his role and he's winning championships and still making a good salary. But now Draymond sounds like he doesn't want to stay past his contract.
If he wants to leave, that's fine. I mean, salary cap's not getting cheaper. Salary cap's getting bigger, so they've got money to spend.
It's interesting also that we were expecting the salary cap to go up a lot, 3 years ago or so. That was the big talk, and it really hasn't. It's gone up maybe like 10 million total, and so really this spending spree stuff could be even higher than it is now, and it's not. So that to me is something I think about too. It's like we could have even more condensed super teams than we have if the salary cap would have gone up the way they thought it was going to.
Derrick Rose, $2 million deal with Minnesota? They can't really do anything else, can they?
I thought they had the mid-level exception. That wasn't it.
They're going to lose Crawford. Crawford
They
maybe
lost him already. They lost him already.
Mhm.
They lost Cole Aldrich. Are you kidding me?
Yes, I am.
Rock
it
Chalk
sounds
Jayhawk.
Sounds like Anthony Tolliver. So getting the old bandit back together, that's great. Yeah, they're not gonna do anything. They need to add shooting. Do something. Figure that out.
With a full season of Jim Butler, so Jim Butler hopefully doesn't miss 20 games. I mean, they barely made the playoffs. Like, if LeBron's in the West, then the Lakers are in the mix there.
I don't think they're going to make it.
I mean, it's year 3 of Tibbs, year 2 of Jim Butler. Jim Butler's not guaranteed to stay.
They need Wiggins to figure it out. If he doesn't figure it out, they're not making the playoffs. That's just the way it's going to be.
It's ultimately disappointing. We'll see what next season holds here. The Twins.
Let's just get Redick, JJ Redick.
No.
Yeah, it'd be fine. If you can get them, go ahead. If not, that sucks. Twins are bad at the moment. They've been every other year, not much is expected, then they do better than their expectations, and they do bad. Why? Why does this continue to happen?
Because they're stupid. This is a stupid team. That's why.
What is the stupidness of it? They've made, again, this is a deal where, like the Vikings, they've made the right moves. They needed some pitchers. They brought in the pitchers. Lance Lynn was bad. Now Lance Lynn is good. He was really bad, but now he's good. Jake Odorizzi was good. He's kind of back and forth. The ERA's, well over 4 at the moment. Logan Morrison sucked the first month. The last month he was good. This past month, he still can't hit over 200. He's not in enough home runs. Dozier sucks in his contract here, so that's bad for Dozier. They're 2 best players in the goddamn minor leagues. Their bullpen greatly improved. Their strikeout rate greatly improved. Ed Escobar having the fucking season of his life. Rosario having the season of his life. And then ultimately they're, going to lose 90 games. So,
did you mention Irv?
Irv's dead.
Yeah.
Irv's dead. My whole problem here is the whole foundation of this franchise was built on Buxton and Sano, and they're both gone. I mean, Buxton, if he can't stay healthy, and if he ever did stay healthy, he can't hit. I got MLB The Show 18 the other day. Popped it in, started a season with the Twins. He was hurt within the first week, out for 2 or 3 months. Couldn't be any more fitting than that. Sano, this thing in Fort Myers, that has to work. Otherwise, they're just going to be out of options. Everybody has this. We talk about it all the time on here. This eternal fear about guys leaving the Twins and figuring it out. The David Ortiz story. I feel like if Buxton or Sano were to leave, they would figure it out somewhere else. So they just have no choice. They have to get this straightened out. I think they probably will, but it's just that's where my frustration's at right now.
Hello. Do you like Sano or Buxton, the fat guy or the skinny guy?
Hey, do you like the fat guy Sano or the skinny guy Buxton?
Hello.
What do you like, Buxton or Sano? He grunted at Sano, so we'll go Buxton.
Shit your pants for 1, piss your pants for 2.
Okay.
What if he does both?
Then he's going rogue.
It's both. Who do you like, Buxton or Sano?
So it's very frustrating to watch this team do. And I mean, at the trade deadline, they should be active and they should be, getting rid of a lot of guys if they can. That'll be a lot of fun there. Hello.
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 Houston. Hello.
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 That's some of the best commentary we've had.
Traxler, NASCAR, what's going on? Because NASCAR seems to be going extinct here pretty soon.
Well, there's new drivers, but none of them are named Earnhardt or Earnhardt Jr., and that's apparently causing a problem.
Are you besmirching the name of Jeffrey Earnhardt?
Yes, I am. They just don't have. To me, they lack the stardom that they absolutely have to have. Even the Lone Star that they really do have, Jimmy Johnson, is, I'd say, definitely at the end of his career.
This is last year, probably. Could be.
I would have to think so. And then you're even some of the guys that were kind of coming along. Carl Edwards retired.
People hate Kyle Busch.
The late Kyle Busch winning everything.
People hate him.
Oh yeah, people don't like him. People
like he's the best driver, but people fucking hate him.
People don't like Martin Truex. Martin Truex Jr. doesn't do anything. I think he won last year.
It's the Denver Mattresses.
So they just have a bunch of guys. I don't know why exactly NASCAR got as popular as it did when Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jeff Gordon were going full bore.
Garrett.
They built all these tracks. They can't fill them up. TV ratings, nobody cares. The stage format, I don't think is helping them. The playoff format doesn't help them. They got a lot of problems.
That they do.
Good kid. That's a good kid right there.
That's good.
Well, thank you, Marcus.
Charlie, what's the loudest sound you've ever heard?
The loudest sound I've ever heard? Like, I don't know. This may be...
Is it a Nebraska game or is it...
It's tough to say because when you're expecting loud sounds, it's different. It's the unexpected ones that really catch you off guard. And the unexpected ones to me are when, there's a thunderstorm and there's lightning and you're asleep. And then when the thunder cracks, it wakes you up and you're like, oh my God, I got to fight someone who's breaking into my house. You're like, oh, never mind. It's just thunder. I got to go back to bed now. And I mean, like, the wake you up at 3:30 in the morning where you've had 4 hours of sleep and you're in a deep slumber and incredibly confused for 5 seconds.
That's possible. Sioux City Bandits, their season was going to end yesterday anyway. It ended in a loss. Take us through what was going through your mind as the players, they were going through their minds playing a football game.
What was going through my mind was I was not rooting for the Bandits like the organization. And by no means do I know any of the players really well. But some of them I've interviewed a few times, and they seem like nice guys. So I kind of wanted them to win for their sake. And it's more fun to write a story after a win than after a loss. So selfishly, I wanted them to win for that reason. What happened? Let's see. They forced a turnover. Duke City was about to go up 2 scores. They stripped a guy at the 1-yard line, got the ball back. They picked up 1 or 2 first downs, but missed a field goal on like 4th and 6 with like 5.5 minutes left, and they just never got the ball back. Duke City picked up 2 or 3 first downs. One of them was a false start where they threw flags and someone either didn't hear the whistle or didn't want to hear the whistle and hit the quarterback anyways, and they got a first down that way. And I think that was the last first down in the game. And then, I don't know, the rules are weird where, like, if you lose yards or don't gain yards on a play, like, the clock stops for a bit.
Yeah.
So the last play of the game was Duke City getting like a 1-yard run, and because they gained yards, the clock rolled, and it was just like, is that gonna? Yep, that's gonna take care of the last 30 seconds. Game's over.
My one of my favorite things about arena football is that you have these teams named Duke City.
Breathing heavily into your phone at the
Breathe into the phone.
Sorry.
a lot of breath there, Noah.
If you have a team named Duke City and you live in South Dakota,
You can be anywhere. You can be from anywhere.
It's not obvious where that team's from. I had to look it up and see
Duke
that they're
City.
from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Same with me.
So,
I assumed that literally it was like some town with 60,000 people named Duke City until I looked it up like 5 days ago.
Where is it? Albuquerque?
yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Duke City is the nickname of Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Wow.
because it's named after some Duke. So that's how they came up with the nickname Duke City.
Oh, here I thought it was after the isotope.
The great Duke Al Albuquerque, the Duke Al.
Yeah.
So
Al Albuquerque. Very good. Stacking,
Mm-hmm.
what's the worst gift you've ever received?
Where's gift?
Maybe you got something for Christmas and you open it up and you're like, Jesus Christ, this sucks. This is all right. This is all right.
Hey,
And
we got 2 goals in the first 3 minutes and 45 seconds in the soccer already. So,
what's
1-1.
this?
This
What
is
is
soccer.
By the way, kudos Russia to beating Spain. Kudos Russia.
You know what, Traxler?
You backed into it,
convinced
Russia.
me. I'm turning it to
Oh,
turn it to soccer.
There won't be another goal until penalty kicks now. Watch.
Now, granted, I was watching a replay of Week 15 on NFL Red Zone, so live sporting events sound better, anyways.
What's it? You know what? I don't know what the worst gift I've ever received has been.
What's the worst gift you've ever given?
What's the worst gift? What?
You've ever given somebody?
Oh boy! Outside of a white elephant gift.
Of a who?
Outside of a white elephant gift.
This was like a joke gift?
Yeah, those are the joke gift. That's another tough one. I usually give pretty decent gifts, I would say.
Good. Marcus?
Right. Bye, Noah. Say bye.
What's the worst gift I've ever received?
If you got something, sure. If not, that's
I don't. It would be something my grandmother on my father's side gave me. Like an example, they make these calendars, maybe Stacking knows, like these. I probably have it sitting here somewhere, but there's like a Minnesota meteorological calendar, and it's got like when the sun sets and when the moon rises and when it's a full moon and
Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah.
well, not really, but it's like a
Calendar.
planner thing. And
Sign me
I
up.
got it this year at Christmas, and I don't live in Minnesota anymore, obviously. So that's just a stupid thing to get me. I'm sorry. So that's probably not even the worst one, but that's the most recent, and that was stupid. So
Getting the same Lego set 3 different times was really fucking cool. So
I had to think about it. I figured out the worst present I've ever received. Now, to be fair, I think it was one of my sisters that gave it to me. You wouldn't think that this would be terrible at the time. I had when I worked at Sam's, they had Wii's, Nintendo Wii's for on sale, and I bought one for like $80 and got some games. Some of them were pretty good. One of them got me 3 or 4 game show games. One of which was the $64,000 Pyramid or $100,000.
Yeah.
I don't remember what money notation it was, but that show. And in theory, it should be fine. But the game itself, like the video game of it, is just so poorly made. I mean, it looks like it was made by, like 7th graders for a class project, where it's just like I think twice I've played it. Like I played it once, it was terrible. And then like 4 years later, I was like, was this the bad one? I don't know. Let's play it. Didn't even finish like the game. Like we get halfway through and it was like, this is so bad. I can't play this anymore.
I do remember getting Madden for Wii because I wasn't much of a Wii fan. And I just remember getting Madden for Wii once. I was like, no, I tried playing a quarter and said, I can't figure out how to be that coordinated and get those guys going down the field correctly. So give me something for an Xbox or PS2 or PS3 at the time. So that ranks right up there.
The Nintendo Wii was only built, as far as I'm concerned, for 2 sports, and that would be tennis and bowling. So if you're not tennis or bowling, get the hell out.
Get out. There was a shooting, Marcus. You hear about the shooting at the newspaper?
I did hear about it, yeah.
A lot of folks died.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 people died. Others were injured. Does that make you think about your paper? If you get threatening emails, not to that extent.
Nothing ever to the extent that appears to be reported for this paper in Annapolis, Maryland. But you get people complaining all the time on Facebook, or I wouldn't even say like threatening, but just people who are mad, people who call and are mad. I think somebody had a story, the other day about getting, cut off. I think it was the Southern Illinois paper. Matt Zimmer retweeted the story. It was or a column, but it was some guy, he got cut off in front of his building by some guy in a car, and he's like, he's pointing to the shotgun in his passenger seat. There's never been anything, like that here, but when somebody walks into your building and barricades one of the back doors, and newsrooms are unlocked. It's a business like any other place. That people have reasons to be upset, I guess, and that's tough to think about. So, yeah, that one hit a little bit closer to home than you'd like. And our newspapers had active shooter training, probably like a lot of businesses have, and it's unfortunately something you have to prepare for. And I just when you think about working at a small paper, which by all accounts, the Capital Gazette, right? Capital Gazette, I think. When it's a newspaper like that and you do a little bit of everything, and you think about the newspaper I work for, or like Charlie's newspaper, probably not a huge operation either. That does sort of stick with you. So not that any of the other ones didn't, but this is unfortunately workplace shootings. We've had those in South Dakota. And those are I would say probably just as common as school shootings. So that's tough.
I want to say too that there was someone on like a far right winger who had mentioned something about shooting, like it was something to do with the media and being dishonest, and you got to take it into your own hands and something. This was just published a day or two before the Annapolis shooting, and it's the country we live in today, which is just a shame, and it absolutely sucks. But I mean, I like what the Orioles did, and I liked Bill Belichick's response. You don't often get a human side from Bill Belichick, but and it's always difficult to tell in statements, but it sounded like a pretty sincere statement and reflection from him based on his time in Annapolis and the area, and his relationship and his family's relationship with the paper.
Yeah, that was very cool. I'm not a Bill Belichick fan much at all, but that was pretty cool.
Charlie, would it be easy to get to the Sioux City Journal to do that? Is that
possible? I think it's possible because there's 2 entrances. Most of the entrances you need a key card to get in, but they're like I'm not saying with anything, if you're crazy and you don't care what happens to you, you could do all sorts. I mean, there's ways you could do it. I don't think it would be as easy as some places, but it would certainly be possible.
Lounge 254.
I'd like to publicly make another statement here. I missed it when we talked about the Twins, but obviously Twins on the record. Yeah, the Twins playing at Wrigley Field this weekend. First time in 9 years. It's hot. You went last year. Where did you sit when you went last year, Wrigley Field?
Kind of behind home plate, third base side, upper deck, second deck.
You went to one game, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You see, it seems like, again, one of those things where half the stadium appears to be Twins fans. Plenty of people either on Twitter or otherwise that you maybe know that are there. Can't say I'm not a little jealous. Even if it is 1,000 degrees there, and the Twins damn near had a couple players die of heat stroke yesterday because they're not smart enough to get them off the field or whatever you want to say there. So, I really don't know why, if it's maybe just a fad, and you'll ask me in 6 months and I won't say this, but I'd love to go to a game at Wrigley Field and sit on the rooftops. I've been looking into it very
rooftops.
From what I could see, one with maybe like the best view into the stadium, about $90, $100, $110 when they're playing the Cardinals. But I'd be interested.
It doesn't get you in the stadium, does it? Just get you on the roof?
Gets you on the roof, but it's all you can eat and drink, and so that's, to me, is a little bit more doable. So
that changes things if it's all you can eat and drink in addition to the seat.
Yeah,
I like that. I'll do that in a heartbeat.
So I'm interested, and I don't know when that'll happen.
Where do they have the food and the drink at? You're on the top of this building.
Downstairs. They've got spaces in each of these buildings. I would assume the top floor or whatever is open to this. You don't have a ticket. And I went to the Wrigley Rooftops page. They're the ones that own most of these buildings back there. And, it looks like they've got a good setup. Just sort of, you pay.
You're fucking high up there.
Oh, you're high up there. Yeah, if you're afraid of heights, maybe it's not the spot to be. But I would have to say this: I wouldn't be able to go and do this and not at some point watch a game inside the stadium too. Like I'd want to watch maybe 2 games, one inside, one outside. But yeah, that would be something I'd be interested in. So add that to my bucket list. Publicly declaring it now. Rooftops at Wrigley. That's something I want to do sometime.
You also forgot to mention the bullpen deaths from yesterday and Friday, because the bullpen pretty much died. The bullpen died and gave up huge leads.
Yeah, so, Addison Reed. Yeah, it's not watchable at the moment. It's not worth time watching this team. I mean, they score a lot of runs and the pitching's bad, and the pitching's good and they can't score. It really is unwatchable.
This is where I also make a public declaration that I'm going to try to go to the I think they play the Orioles right before the All-Star break. Might try to watch one of those games. So just sort of a race to the bottom series, and then if Crins and I feel compelled to go to Kansas City over Labor Day and watch the Royals and the Orioles, that'd be great. So watch the 3 worst teams in the American League go at it. If we could get the White Sox and the Tigers to be there too, that'd be great. So.
White Sox also quite bad this year.
Not great. Not great.
The Marlins and the Reds as well. And the Mets. Let's invite the Mets.
Bad teams. The worst teams.
Who was it Devin Mesoraco? Did we talk about that? He's like 9-50 for the season.
Yeah, he's bad. With the Reds, they were bad. Then they traded him to the Mets, and the Mets were good. Then he gets there, then they all get hurt, and now they're bad. So. And
we had the stat today about the Orioles that they didn't beat a team in the American League all month of June, which is amazing. They had like 6 wins, and they were all against the National League. And so that's the first time since interleague play started that the team in a certain league has not beaten any other team in their own league. And we've had interleague for 20 years. So that's nice.
Like you got to have something in these dugouts, don't you? These fans, some air conditioning, something. You think between innings, you go back up to the clubhouse, even if it's just for 5 minutes to
Well, yeah, I mean, what are these guys doing when they get to the dugout? I mean, you just gotta pump the fluids through them.
Towels.
The goddamn ump had an ammonia towel, something we've never seen. I like that. Give it to the players. What are we doing here?
Like you need.
I don't know. I would assume like in football games where they have those like cool air fans with the fans that also like mist cold water or whatever.
Something
like I would think you'd need something like that. I mean, like I would think every major league team, unless they're an indoor team, with everything climate controlled perfectly, would have that just because, like, no matter where you are, it's going to get hot sometimes in the summer. So
one of those things too, where it's like, okay, for today we're putting the bat rack halfway down the tunnel. We're going to set up big ass misters where the bat rack normally would be. You got to go down the tunnel to get to your bat. That's to me, that's maybe the way you got to do it. I don't know.
Go to the clubhouse and all this stuff. I mean, cool down a little bit. You have Dick Bramer out there saying, they should cancel the game or push it back. And like, all right, buddy. I mean, it's hot. It's goddamn hot out there. But, and then just
because the Twins were losing, or
because you didn't really hear that much of the Cubs. I was going to say, are the Cubs complaining? I guess they had one player that cramped up a little bit. He was talking about it after the game, but Cubs aren't really talking about it a lot. There's one guy who I won't name, but he's terrible at his job, so it kind of narrows it down. And
it doesn't.
He says things on Twitter to get a reaction, and one of his things was build a new Wrigley Field, or put a roof on this one, or tear it down and give me a brand new stadium. And that's just one of those things that you just say to have people tweet back, oh no, keep Wrigley Field and all this, because
how exactly? Yeah, I mean, I again, by talking about it, we're giving him the platform he would like, but how exactly would that have fixed any of the problems from yesterday? It wouldn't.
He was just talking about that generally before the series, and that's just his thing.
Stupid. I hate that person.
What baseball teams should do? They should use the Amin patented ice diaper on hot days.
Put your ice diaper on. I mean, you're a professional team. The ice can be replaced. Think about it. Come on.
I tried to get, kind of behind home plate second deck to get a little, good view. I like that view. And so we're there, and you go up kind of like back behind the press box and all that, and they've got a nice bar area. You can't see the field from this point, but you can see the rest of the city. And there were a lot of people back there. You can't see the game from that vantage point, but that was a good view of everything. So
I also looked at the tickets for the bleachers at Wrigley Field. They're insane. It's like for today's game through the team, it was like $110.
Tear it down.
So that is insane to me.
It is not.
I have been to many states and cities. I have never been to Chicago before, though. I should go there sometime and see a baseball game at Wrigley Field.
I love that city.
Two things here real quick to wrap up. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. He is owed another
huge day.
$1.19 million. And I got some free agency news here. Jonathan Tavares has signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
You missed that. We had it right off the top, Zach.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
$11 million a year. That's incredible.
Bobby Bonilla, he played for a bunch of different Major League Baseball teams, most notably, I think, the Mets and the Marlins when they won a World Series.
But he does not have his jersey retired with the Marlins. So that's the.
He's only got 17 years left on this deal, so it's only about another.
Yeah, it's funny. Like they tweet about it every year, and you'd be like, "Well, wow, that's got to be getting close to being over." Nope, there's literally another 17 years remaining.
But anyway, Jonathan Tavares, he played for the Islanders. He is from Canada. He famously got injured during I believe it was the 2014 Olympics in Sochi. Is that right, Marcus? Or was it 2010?
Well, I'm sure nobody would have cared in 2010 because they won the whole thing. So it must have been 2014.
I don't know. I'm looking at this list of guy. I haven't heard of one of them.
Like what? The free agents or?
Yeah, James Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, well, you gotta get out there and watch some puck. You gotta watch.
Where'd he go? He went to Philadelphia. Who the fuck's this guy, Van Riemsdyk?
He's a
Either
left
Dyke
winger
or
or
Dick.
right winger.
I think he's a left winger.
It's a Dyke.
Who the fuck he play for?
Philadelphia.
He's staying with Philadelphia. How about Paul Stastny?
Stastny, he was on the Blues
Oh,
last
Stastny.
year. He's basically played
And he
for.
got traded to the Jets.
He's
going
played
to
for
he's
half
going
the
to-
Central Division because he used to be on the Blues, used to be on the Avs. He was on the Jets last year. Now he's gonna be on Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, they're disappointing me because they should just be throwing a piss ton of money at all these guys because they already have
Like
a bunch of draft picks, and they should have like made an $11 million offer for Tavares and just bleeped every other team that was in the mix. That would have been great. So, but they didn't do that. So this has been a pretty lousy free agent class as well in hockey too. So
It all sucks. There we go.
Wild, they signed a bunch of guys that are pretty much no-namers, so we'll see what happens there.
Also, speaking of Bobby Bonilla Day, I've maybe told this story before, I don't know. But when I was a kid at, I think it was my first year at Dakota Valley Elementary School, so old, it was named Jefferson at the time. And we were trading baseball cards, and some kid didn't want to give up a Bobby Bonilla card.
That's great.
And it was a rookie card. He didn't want to give it up because he didn't want to give up any rookie cards, which I suppose I can understand that. But he made the claim that he had hit more home runs than anyone else in baseball history. And as like a second grader, I just remember thinking, like, I don't think that's right. I don't think you hit more because I've never heard of this guy before. But I wasn't positive because, we didn't have the internet on our phone back in those days to quickly fact check everything.
One more point of reference since I'm looking at it. The Cardinals also have a roof deck thing across the stadium, and that obviously
That would seem to be further away than.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't appear to be that close. They don't have a distance written down, but that is also all you can eat type setup, and that for the next home game they have July 13 against the Cincinnati Reds, $111. And you're not even in the damn stadium. And those are sold through the team because the team owns that land and stuff. So $111 to not even be in the stadium in that case. And it's at a stadium not known for, there's no history connected. So I'm a lot less cool with that.
As you know, I don't buy.
I would imagine that the Cardinals want to do that, much like I'm sure Stacken was waiting to say this too. Best fans in baseball can't let the Cubs do that.
That's right.
They got to take it for themselves too.
Plus, I'd love to sit in the heat and humidity of St. Louis more so than Chicago.
I don't buy things.
The safety and beauty of St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh yes.
I don't buy things at games because it's very overpriced. So I feel like you could get your money's worth if you have, say, you have a couple hot dogs, some nachos, a couple of drinks. I would say that would be at least $30.
You got to go hard if you're going to be sitting in those seats. You got to go hard. So yeah, that's a no doubt. Doubt.
And I feel like the heat and the eating would not mix well. So if you want to do it,
well, not for you.
Well, for anybody generally, just the heat. The humidity stacking, just the eating and the drinking and the heat seems like bad stuff.
It sucks. Yep, it absolutely sucks. But we need to get you down to the Falcons Stadium because they have the cheap food. They have $2 hot dogs, like $3 nachos. That's something I think you would be willing to part with.
How much is a squirt?
Squirt. I don't know. Is Squirt made by
Squirt? No Squirt.
Just go there and say, I want Squirt.
They'll give you a kid.
Actually, we should do that. We should travel to cover events, sporting events, and we can have a recurring segment where Corinne's just walks into things, buys things, pays money, and then they're like, okay, what kind of drink do you want? Squirt. And then if they have it, great. If they don't, then he just demands his money back and leaves.
Marcus was there. Stacken may have been there. We were at Cubbies when, I don't know if it was the end of the radio show or when, and I asked for Squirt. They had Squirt. You remember that?
It's on the menu. It's on the menu. Yeah.
Yep. I asked the person, when's the last time anybody ordered Squirt? It had been a while.
It had. I remember that though.
You can do that next time.
Not a soda on the tip of most people's tongues when they're
It
asked
should
about
be.
drinks.
But it should be.
It mixes great with whiskey though for a whiskey sour.
Sure. Squirt sour. Squirt it up. Stacking, big day for you. I think, what is it? WWE's in town today, isn't it? I believe it. Or you're not in town, so that's disappointing for you. Raw is in Sioux Falls Monday. I know you'll be making the drive down, so that'll be fun for you.
I've petitioned them to come up to Fargo, but I don't think it's going to happen. Coincidentally or not, it may coincide with the Trump rally, but who knows for sure.
I've petitioned.
Same fan base, so
I've petitioned for Mitchell to get an XFL team, so we're waiting to hear back on that. See if we can get an XFL team. So
You know what I should do? I should do this tomorrow. Late notice. I'll go for a press pass for the deal. Yeah.
good luck.
Mitchell Daily
Sure.
Republic should have got in on that. Sioux City Journal press pass for the
Probably
rest.
could have.
I would gladly try and attempt it, but unfortunately, I have to cover a playoff softball game tomorrow.
He's got to cover the Bandits. Bandits funeral service,
Welcome back.
2018 season.
Woodbury Central softball in Mobile, Iowa.
Huge.
Here we go. 4th of July Wednesday. So happy birthday to all the moms and dads for that. Lounge 254. We'll see if we'll do a show next week. If not, we'll do a show later on. For everybody involved, for Noah Stackin, for everybody else. Lounge 254 on this first day of July